I get to go first today, which apparently by community consensus is because apparently by community consensus, we're saving the best for last, which is our amazing judge, Judge Felton. And he's taught me that apparently you can just say any speech for 45 minutes, but if you got some great zingers in there, then you get promoted to the superior orator. And I cannot compete with his delivery. So I'm glad that the best is going last. And I'm seriously, in all seriousness, so thankful for Judge Felton and our county commissioners. It is unique for Waco and McLennan County to have such a rich partnership. We go further, faster together. And Judge Felton specifically is a great statesman. I've learned so much from him, and he's become a great friend, and I'm really thankful for the relationship between our institutions. So it's an honor to share the stage today with him. This is the state of the city, and I'm here to say that our city is strong, it is prosperous, and I think we should all be full of optimism. We should be proud of the product of what's happening in Waco, and it's the result of everyone's good work. Everyone in this room is a part of this team we're on, moving the ball down the field, and things are looking good in Waco, and I'm excited to share that with you today. My goal for today is that you're informed, you're updated, and you leave here feeling blessed like I do to be in Waco, because we have some good stuff going on here. Let's look at some numbers. Over $732 million of building permits have been issued, showing a 186 year-over-year increase. Retail spending is up 2.6% year-over-year to a $176 billion mark. Hotel revenue is up 21% year-over-year to an $8.2 million mark. I'm sure eyes are starting to glaze over with all of this positivity. Restaurant sales tax revenues have consistently increased over the last 4 years, with a 7.5% increase in 2023. Our annual employment and labor force growth over the last 5 years has seen a 10% increase, beating the state of Texas's 8% increase. That is something, guys. 10% increase in workforce over the last 5 years. And this is my favorite stat. Since 2019, we've added 4,620 jobs, well-paying, financially secure jobs to Waco. That's a good stat. I was disheartened to hear about Owen, Illinois' announced closing yesterday. That is not the news you want to get when you are feverishly cramming for a speech the next day about the health of a city. And those are real families who have a lot of questions right now. But here's the good news. Here's the silver lining. And that's that we've all worked hard to build an economy that is strong. We've worked hard to increase the number of jobs in Waco. We ran some numbers yesterday, and our city manager got some data that showed there's nearly 1,700 available jobs in Waco right now. Another good thing about Waco is what I just mentioned. It's the rapid communication between me and Judge Felton and our city manager, Bradley, and Chris and Matt at the Chamber, and the Anthony Billings at Heart of Texas Workforce Solutions on how we can connect people to those jobs. And I think that's the Waco proposition. It's that we're big enough that this work matters, but we're close enough. We're a small enough community where we're on the same team as members, and we can be connected enough to nimbly address problems quickly and rapidly. One of my, me and Jimmy did not coordinate because in my notes here, I was going to bring up Isaiah 58. It's one of my favorite scriptures, and I wasn't going to read everything that he did, but I wanted to note a couple of aspects of that. And if you picture Proctor Springs in Cameron Park, or you picture the springs near Barron's Branch, if you picture downtown Waco in that scripture that Jimmy just read, it says that we'll be like a well-watered garden, a gurgling spring that never runs dry. It says that he'll show us how to build old rubble from past lives to build anew, rebuild foundations from out of your past. You can fix anything, restore old ruins, renovate, and make the community livable again. This town, all of us are doing that work. We're seeing that come to bear now. I came with a prop, and it is from Elm Avenue. This is a brick. Elm Avenue is open, by the way. I don't know if y'all been down You haven't done that yet? But that is basically, should be on all of your ways back to your office. So I think everyone should just caravan over and drive down Elm on your way out of here and see that. It's a sight to see. We're really excited about that. But when that street was under construction, I happened to be driving by and I saw some construction work going, and I saw excavators tearing up the street, and they were pulling all these bricks out of the ground because buried under several levels of pavement was unsalvageable, but mounds of historic bricks from when that was a brick street. And so as a mayor would, I pulled over and walked into a construction zone I wasn't supposed to be in and pulled up a couple of these bricks for posterity's sake to keep in my office. And I was thinking about bricks, and I was thinking about how these bricks remind me of Waco. I think bricks embody strength and resilience and stability, things I think of when I think of our city. I think these bricks resemble or embody unity and collaboration, because one brick by itself doesn't build a wall. One wall by itself doesn't build a house. It takes it all to come together. And it embodies the idea of tradition. It embodies the idea of timelessness, because these things are meant to last. And I think that we are truly taking the rubble of our past lives to make this community livable. And every brick is required to build a strong wall that's going to become a strong house. So I'm thankful for the team that we're on building up this house. I want to introduce our city council. I'm recycling some content from last year, but I thought it was good, so I'm going to share it again. I'm going to start with our city council. We have Andrea Jackson Bearfield. She's a poet, and we all know it. She's a true order. You want her on your team. She's smart, caring, grounded, effective, and good. Go Trojans. We have Alice Rodriguez. She gets stronger, funnier, feistier, and better with each year of service. She could not be here today because of a funeral, so keep her in your prayers. We have Josh Borderud, a.k.a. the voice of Waco. Good at memes, megaphones, movie trailer voiceovers, but best at governance, at wisdom. Go Dolphins. We have Darius Ewing. I never thought that I would be in the same, there would be enough room in this town for another young, handsome District 4 representatives. But this town must be growing, because it turns out there is. And it's a good thing we have another young guy, because this office is aging me so much, I'm starting to look like some other elected officials here. Darius is going to be the best dad ever. His wife is expecting, so if he gets up and runs out of this room, it's because his wife could be at the hospital. But he's bringing a lot of wisdom, business understanding, and stability and perspective to our council. And then finally, last but not least, Jim Holmes. No Gantt chart can show how much I love this guy or how thankful I am to be on his team. He loves data and loves our city and is a great leader. Now our city staff, we have our city manager, Bradley Ford. If I was in a World War II foxhole or a zombie apocalypse or in a city boardroom, Bradley Ford is the exact guy I would want next to me. I love working with a wise, strong, smart, strategic guy like him who's dedicated to his faith, family, and our city in that order. We have Jennifer Ritchie, our city attorney, the raging law-abiding Cajun from Louisiana. She's got a diffusing laugh, a big heart for our city. She's incredibly smart and caring, takes great care of our council, and we should all be thankful for her leadership in our community. We have Michelle Hicks, our Waco City Secretary, who wrangles the 6 council members like professional cat herders. I just hope she doesn't write a tell-all book about us, because she could. We have Deidre Emerson, a deputy city manager. She may be the daughter of a Baptist preacher, but watch out, because I'm just kidding. She's just very nice. She's really good at what she does. We have our assistant city manager, Paul Kane. He looks like a linebacker, and he's blocked and tackled his way through this budget season, the landfill that's getting permitted and moving forward, and the Riverfront project. We're thankful for him. We have our assistant city manager, Ryan Be Safe Holt. No matter what situation you're in, don't you feel safer and just better when Ryan Holt's in the room? And we have Lisa Blackman. Put on your sunshades, because she's planning an awesome eclipse event. She's jumped into the deep waters of Waco since she's been here and carries great ideas, passion, and brings creativity and fun for our residents. If you see these staff members or other staff members, pull them aside and thank them for their work. if you see their families, tell them thank you for their sacrifice. These staff members work really hard. And our city is doing great things, but it's not by accident. It's because of their diligence and dedication. I want to give a shout out to my family. I have my beautiful, cool, witty wife, Lindsay, who puts up with a bozo like me. If anyone is pumped for this term to end, it's her. She's been an incredible support. I also have my two hilarious kids, Mabry and Davis. Here's Mabry. This girl has never been a spectator at a parade. She's only been in parades, so a rude awakening is coming her way. Like, what? There's no float for me to ride in? It's gonna be good for her to get used to that. And then here's my son, Davis, who's Mr. Mischief. This is a back-to-back photo of him. Just can't help it. Sees me with a hat, has to knock it off. It's great to have people that keep you humble in your life. All right, let's talk about our budget. As inflation has risen in the city, our costs of construction have gone up, the cost for workforce has increased. This is not new for any of the business people in the room. But the need for construction has continued, the need for projects has gone on. So we're trying to balance all of this out to steward our dollars well and keep the cost of living in Waco low. It's something we take really seriously. We have a near $750 million budget. This will be the third year in a row that we've had a proposed tax rate reduction. It's going to be the lowest it's been in about 15 years in Waco. And we've also maintained our property tax exemptions, and that's something I'm really thankful for. We have last year we significantly increased our homestead tax exemption. We increased our 65 and older tax exemption, and stacking on top of that, if qualified, disability exemption for property taxes, which is the equivalent of a revenue loss for us of about $5.2 million. A lot of people came up to me last year and said, hey, my values went up, but my property taxes were the same or maybe went a little bit lower even. And in part, not exclusively, but in part, that's because of these exemptions. Another aspect of the budget I want to highlight is our city employees are incredibly important. So we gave each of them a 5% well-deserved raise this year, and gave our fire and police officers even more of a greater compensation increase due to the market forces, again, well-deserved. I want to talk about capital improvements and infrastructure. This is not per se exciting, but it's important. I think we all feel Waco growing, and I hear a lot of people express concern over, are we ready for the expected growth that we're anticipating? Are we planning ahead for that? And I'm here to say I really think we're doing the best we can. And I know a lot of what we're talking about is the future. In this presentation, I reference a lot of studies, and I know we all have construction fatigue, but I think what we're doing matters for our kids. I'm doing this for my kids. I think that we would all agree that we need to have long-term vision, and sometimes there's pain points in that, but I think it's the right moves that we're making. We're putting $272 million in capital improvements this year, more than any other year in our city's history. This is the largest single investment. When I got on city council, we were putting about $3 million towards streets. The council was doing a study at the time. I don't get any credit for it, but it came back and said to maintain the status quo, we needed to be putting about $27 million towards streets. We're greatly exceeding that now. And again, we feel the pain points of construction fatigue, but maintaining our streets, doing expansion and widening projects on the edges of our town, and reconstructing our streets in the core of the city is incredibly important. We're also looking to build water capacity. We're completing a study this November that should plan for water capacity over the next 100 years. It's an in-depth look on what we need to do, and that includes things like conservation measures, using treated effluent in ways we're currently not, and raising Lake Waco. So I want this room to feel confident that we already have a really good water capacity situation, but with anticipated growth, we need to be taking broad steps, and I'm convinced that we're going to be doing that. I want to give a quick drought update. Despite recent rains, Lake Waco is still 11 feet below conservation pool levels. If we don't receive any rain between now and November, we'll probably move to stage 3 drought restrictions. So pray for rain, and if not, we'll continue to move forward with drought restrictions. But that's an update that I wanted to give. Let's talk about economic development. It's one of the priorities of our city council. Again, this is a team effort. We have so many great economic development partners, and the success we're seeing in our economy is because of those economic development partners. But our council is pro-economic development, and as Smart Growth Council, we know we can't stagnate, and we're excited to grow our economy. A couple of things we've done is supported the TSTC industrial training facility, recently branded the work site. I want to thank TSTC and the county for all coming together to partner around this project. TSTC, and I'm sure the judge will reference this, but TSTC is going to be offering courses. This is good for industry because it solidifies that talent pipeline. It also gives people in our community an opportunity to go get access to training to build a financially secure life. So I'm really excited about this and glad that we put money into that. Thanks to Rick Tullis and Hal Whitaker for spearheading this work, and again to TSTC and their team for all they have done here. Budget-wise, we contributed $4 million to our economic development fund so that we can continue to aggressively partner with the chamber and the county to aggressively recruit, retain, and attract jobs to Waco. And we put $1.4 million to support organizations like our Chambers of Commerce, Startup Waco, and others. And I just want to pause and say thank you. Thank you to the Chamber. Thank you to all of our economic development partners, Chambers of Commerce, and support organizations that have come together in this town to really ensure that our economy is growing for everybody. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up our small business support program. We used some American Rescue Plan dollars, or federal COVID dollars, to go to a small portion to go small business. And we've awarded over $3 million to 117 small businesses in Waco, with 103 jobs retained and 168 new jobs added. When we go, and I'm going to talk about other cultural and feel-good stuff, but when we go on these inner city visits for the economy, we hear time and time again that in order to build an economy, in order to recruit big employers, big taxpayers, you got to have a strong quality of life, because employers don't want to come to the market if we don't have a good quality of life for their employees. And so I think supporting retail and restaurant and small business that really is the backbone of our community and builds that strong quality of life is worthwhile in building a holistic economy. And I'm glad we put some dollars towards that. I want to give some economic development project updates. Since 2019, there have been $3.6 billion in capital investment in Waco. Here's some highlights. We have graphic packaging, which is the largest capital investment in Waco's history. It's going to be about $1.5 billion. It's a great taxpayer for the economy. It's going to be the most energy efficient recycling plant in North America, and over 230 jobs. Site preparation has begun there. We have Terry Black's Barbecue coming into downtown Waco. This is their 4th location, but in their other 3 existing locations, they go through 3,500 briskets a week. And they're the top purchaser of prime brisket in the United States. That's going to be a good restaurant in our downtown. There's going to be people that peel off the highway to go there, and ideally will then go spend their money in other places. Floyd Casey project is underway. That's has the expectation of 230 new single-family homes. It's going to be a great core city single-family neighborhood. It's going to be really nice. Site preparation and demo has begun, and infrastructure and road construction will follow that. We have the Herringbone Hotel, what was the Containery. There's a group out of San Diego that came in and kind of saved the day on that, and they are well underway in construction with the 21-room boutique hotel, rooftop bar, 9 retail spaces, multiple restaurants, and that'll be opening early next year. Some grand openings from this past year that I think are fun to remember are Peg Netti's Italian restaurant opening in downtown. The Magnolia HQ, which is a beautiful facility that brought hundreds of well-paying jobs into the middle of downtown, where those employees are able to spend their money before, after, and during their lunch hour, before and after work and during their lunch hour. We've also had Aston Johnson and Vonsis and Ooze and Oots. I've seen a couple of those guys here today. Thank you for all you do for Waco. These are 3 great companies that are bringing great jobs and capital investment into Waco. Some upcoming openings, we have Dottie Oaks, which is going to be some retail, some office, and some residential at the old Oak Lodge Motor Inn at Franklin and Austin and 11th Street. That's a great improvement there. We have the 1928 Hotel by Magnolia opening on Washington. That's going to be unlike anything our city has seen. in a long time. And that should be opening in November. We have the AC Marriott Hotel opening at the beginning of next year, and that's going to really be an addition to this economy. And Salvation Army is still on target to move in 2025 out of downtown. One thing that I hear about a lot is a tension between our development services department, inspections, permitting, and the city. And there's been, and in fairness to the city, there's been a lot of growth in our city. Our ecosystem is rapidly changed. But that tension is something we're taking really seriously. So I did want to highlight that we are beginning this month to initiate on a study on what some recommendations that we can implement in those departments. So if you're in the development service sector of our community, anticipate getting an email with a survey, and I'd ask you to complete that to really show where the pain points are. And then after that, we're going to be hosting some focus groups as well. But the goal is to get a report and then implement it so that this department, anyone doing development in Waco, can operate in partnership with the city with clarity, consistency, timeliness, and predictability. This is in the economic development section of this presentation because I believe that development is economic development, and this department connects to that. So we anticipate getting some better results out of that soon. I want to talk about downtown briefly. My goal is for downtown Waco to look like Main Street in Disney World. There's a couple of ways we're working to achieve that. One is we had a firm do a downtown streetscape study. We're going to begin to implement that soon to improve public spaces with landscaping and parking and pedestrians and benches and things along those lines. We have our public improvement district. I saw Africa Tarver is here. She's the director of City Center Waco, our new director, and she's going to be administrating our public improvement district. And the city council approved the budget for that this week, which has extensive funding for landscaping, for power washing, for graffiti abatement. And I'm looking forward to that being implemented. And finally, we're looking to expand and improve upon our downtown overlay, which is an ordinance in place that regulates how downtown properties are maintained by property owners. Things like no barbed wire, no boarded up windows. So we're going to be looking at that a little bit too, but the care of downtown is something we care about. I'm really also excited about some downtown development work that a lot of you have heard about. We're going to be issuing a request for qualifications soon. There's a lot of parking lots that the city owns near City Hall. In fact, there's about 60 acres publicly owned in downtown right now that basically connect. And we hired a firm called Gensler to come into the market and really help us vision cast. And many of you helped in that process, and I thank you for that. On what this could be, we believe the market's primed and right, and we're going to be, again, issuing requests for qualifications for developers to submit to begin what will be a long but important development of these parking lots in downtown Waco. I want to talk about our Pavilion, Riverwalk, and Riverfront developments. We still anticipate early next year the arena, Foster Pavilion, and the parking lot next to it to be complete and ready in early 2024. The city is responsible for the parking garage, and that will be ready on time. It won't be fully complete in that we're going to still wrap the parking garage in some ways and do some landscaping, but it will be parkable in early 2024. I'm also really proud to say that the phase one of Riverfront, which is going to have 260 residential units, significant retail space, and ample parking, will be complete fully in 6 to 10 weeks. We anticipate Clay Avenue and University Parks to be paved early next year and be landscaped and streetscaped by mid next year. I'm excited to say too that the Riverfront developer Catalyst is in discussions with a graduate hotel for this site and believe that that's likely to occur on the Riverfront front. So a lot of good work happening there. Airport terminal, we're wrapping up our airport renovation project. This is going to really showcase and be a great place for not only our own citizens, but people coming in and out of Waco to set the bar for what Waco's all about when they get on or off a plane. And again, that should be wrapping up here shortly. And we're continuing to evaluate ways to increase air traffic in and out of Waco. It's something we take really seriously and are continuing to work on. Waco supports its police and fire departments. We've got great leadership in those departments. We continue to increase positions in both of those departments every year, so we're bringing more and more police and fire officers to our streets to serve our community. We've given them well-deserved increases in pay. We've also have maintained our ISO 1 rating for fire, which means your insurance premiums actually go down because they're one of the few departments in the city that's achieved that rating. And we're still deploying a robust community policing program, and there's a lot of great, meaningful work occurring through that program. I want to talk about parks briefly. We've got a lot of great things happening in our parks department. The suspension bridge, I hope that you got to come to that ribbon cutting, man. That was really cool. We had a cattle drive over the suspension bridge. I'm really glad that has reopened. Our Lions Park project, we've completed demolition and it's functioning as a green space now. This is one the community really cares about. If this gets posted on social media, there's like, if anything gets posted on social media, there's usually like 3 comments, but for this, it's like 500 comments. So this is one that our community deeply cares about. This is one that we're gonna figure out how to develop together. And I look forward to the design and concept work consultant to bring us some ideas in the coming weeks ahead. In late 2022, we purchased 85 acres in China Spring for a park. We're anticipating construction in 2024 and an opening of that park in mid-2025. And we also have the Floyd Casey Hart Patterson Park, about 30 acres as a part of the Floyd Casey development. I talked about the housing component of that. But we're gonna have a robust regional park there. We've already set aside $20 million for that, and we anticipate getting designs back for that at the end of this year. Last but not least, we have our Doris Miller Community Center, which was a Doris Miller YMCA. Now it's a city community center, freeing up the opportunity to renovate the Bledsoe Miller Community Center to become a STEAM center, or an educational facility for people in the community. And I'm really proud of the programming that's happening there. Phase 2 will include what we'll do with the pools and aquatic aspect of that, but I'm excited about partnering with the community on that. Next, we have the zoo. I want to acknowledge publicly that there was a public tension between the Zoo Society and the city. That was in the paper a couple of times, but I'm here to say that our relationship couldn't be better. We have worked diligently to really hear each other, to seek to understand, and are in a really strong, solid position. And I'm really excited about the partnership going forward. We started the construction of the Penguin and the Education Veterinary Clinic last year, and that will be opening, or earlier this year, and that is on track to open up this summer of 2024. Again, I want to thank the Society in McLennan County for the bond project on that. Some other quality of life issues we have that I wanted to bring up. One, join your neighborhood association. It's a great way for you to learn about what's going on in the city, and the city to learn about what's going on in your community. We have a grant program. We've given about $60,000 this year in grants to neighborhood. One of them that I'll highlight, we're having a ribbon cutting for the first public pickleball court in Waco, and that's the product of a neighborhood grant. The neighborhood came together and said, we want to restripe this tennis court, and so we're excited for that. Race equity continues to be a priority of the city. This was something that Kyle Deaver stood on this very stage and said that this would be a priority for our city because of the data that showed the disparity of outcomes in our community. We continue to take this work very seriously. It's the lens with which we look through to really determine how are we closing gaps in our community. Some of the work we've done this year is that we have joined the local government Hispanic network. We have convened and implemented an employee work group to tackle this subject. And many of our small business grants were funds went to minority and women-owned businesses. And we've implemented some strategic programming in our police and fire departments as well. Again, there's more work that we're doing there, and I'm really proud of it. Our libraries, there's a lot going on in our libraries right now, but one thing I want to highlight is last week, South Waco Library unveiled a memorial wall display honoring local history made by 30 influential Hispanic Wacoans in honor of their contributions to our community. If you like Waco history, go by the South Waco Library. If you don't go by Elm on your way home, go down LaSalle and go check out South Waco. Probably try to do both today. But it's really great. It's a really cool way to memorialize work of members of our community. I want to talk about homelessness really briefly. This is a national problem. It is a concern I think that many people are having everywhere in the country right now, and it's something that we're feeling in Waco. We contracted with Prosper Waco earlier this year to conduct a homeless ecosystem management analysis, otherwise to do a deep dive and tell us what we need to be doing here. And this work included stakeholder convening, some data reporting, and talking to other Texas cities that have done this well to get some tips of the trade. And so this work is wrapping up, and we look forward to reviewing this recommendation. What I want to say to this is that we want to address this issue with compassion, but also with seriousness. And I want you to know that it's something our series is taken seriously. I want to move to culture and tourism. I think there's going to be some renderings behind me that show some renderings from the possible Performing Arts Center, and we anticipate that potentially going at Franklin and University Parks Drive, kind of where those food trucks used to be. This is something that a lot of people in the community are very excited about, including me. We're in the process right now of looking at how we can launch a fundraising campaign for this, because this won't be paid for exclusively by the city. It's going to take all of us to pull this off. But there's a need for this in the community. I'm excited for it, and I'm really appreciative of Creative Waco and their diligent work on this matter. I'm excited about our mobile visitor center. As Judge Felton once wisely said, when tourists come to our city, our goal is to separate them from their money. And this mobile visitor center helps that happen, because we go to places where the tourists are. We say all the cool stuff to do in Waco so that they can disseminate across our city and go spend their money. Waco's tourism numbers are strong. I'm really thankful for where that market is, and really thankful for our CVB team who plays a big part of that. Beautification is looking forward on a couple things. One of the things that I really, it's not the most important thing, but it's something I care about, and that's beautification in Waco. I don't know how y'all feel about this, but I think about, the intersection, the landscaping maybe at the intersection of Valley Mills and Franklin Drive, or the median on Waco Drive from Highway 6 across the river. Maybe think about the median, the grassy median on Franklin. From Valley Mills to New Road, and there's oftentimes trash there. And this is a little thing, but we're putting about $600,000 and 2 full-time employees to really help strategically work towards beautifying the city and making sure that this is a beautiful place. And I think that ties to economic development, because when employers come and look at Waco, we want it to be pristine and clean and nice. So I'm appreciative of that budget being in our budget, and look forward to that. Faith engagement is something that I've cared about. Aaron Zimmerman, the pastor, the Reverend at St. Albans, once said to me, not engaging the faith community in Waco is like not engaging the labor unions in Detroit. And I think there's wisdom there. So we hosted a faith summit in May, and there were over 350 faith leaders that attended to learn just practically what resources are available in the community to their congregants who might be in need, and what are ways that their congregants might be able to volunteer and give back to our city. And with that information, I think we've seen some fruit, and I think we're going to continue to see some fruit from strategic efforts in engaging that community as we go forward. Next, I want to talk about a brand study. I think identity matters. That's something that our council has cared about for a long time. What are the words that define us? What is the identity of Waco? And I think we all kind of have an idea of what that is, but we wanted to formalize that and put words to it. So we hired a really first-in-class marketing company and branding company to come into town, do a deep dive, kind of embed themselves in the community, and help us formalize what our brand is. This is subjective, so as we talk through this, just let it sink in and don't throw any tomatoes, because remember I have my brick prop, so I'll throw it back. But I think this is going to be a good guidebook. We are keeping our iconic flying W. That is definitely something that will continue to be a part of who we are. But in terms of imagery, we have updated custom fonts, color palettes across our platforms that we can use to create uniformity and an updated, modernized look. And we also brought a new tagline to bear, and that's City to Believe in. And I love that. I think it really reflects that although we face some obstacles, we have a city that we can be excited about and that's going someplace. I think there's some fun ways to use this too. I don't know what's showing. So like this is just some concept art they came up with. We're not finalized on this, but a city to create in, a city to grow in, a city to thrive in, a city to believe in. I think that's really cool. And then here's another one. World-class surfing in Waco, believe it. Pretty neat. And then I love this one, goodness to believe in. So there's like values. You can say like goodness to believe in, growth to believe in, family to believe in. So there's a lot of wordplay that we can do with this tagline. I'm really excited about how it embodies us. There's a lot of history around what Waco's taglines used to be. I was talking to Rick about this earlier, and he's saying we were Geyser City at one point and Hub City at one point, and I think this embodies who we are in this moment now, and I'm excited to deploy that. I want to wrap up by saying thanks to Ashley Nystrom and our communications team for all their effort on this State of the City address. I couldn't do that without them. They've been an incredible help in procuring information and putting together a really great PowerPoint presentation. This is the last time I'm giving this speech. I don't think that's a secret. I'm not running for this office or any other office. I really look forward to getting back into the private sector. I don't think there's anybody more excited than Lindsay about that, but who knows, maybe when she sees a lot of time on my hands, she'll like sign me up for something. It's way too early for a goodbye. I've got a lot of time left. If you have any problems with this speech, though, just email me on May 30th of this year, and I'll be prompt to get back to you on that. But these 2 terms have been incredibly rewarding, the honor of a lifetime, but almost exclusively because I've gotten to work with nearly everybody in this room to do really great stuff. And man, I look back on some of the stuff I've done and I would do it so differently. Some things I would do differently for sure in hindsight, but I'm so proud of the work we've accomplished. I'm so proud of how we did it on the whole, and really thankful to have gotten to play a part in this. Again, I just want to close with that Isaiah scripture that you're hearing for the 3rd time today. I didn't plan for that. But just this idea of being able to use old rubble to build anew, rebuild foundations from out of your past, fix anything, restore ruins, rebuild and renovate, make the community livable again. I'm proud that in faith we've been able to accomplish this together. And I don't think I've run over time yet, so I'm going to step down. Thank you for letting me give this address, and we appreciate letting me be here today. Thanks.